Sharada Godbole, and I chose the op art movement for my graphic design historical presentation. Um, uh, Op art is short for optical art. It can be described as a form of abstract art that uses flat, static, two-dimensional patterns. It seeks to confuse and excite the eye through optical illusions of depth, movement, and distortion. The name op art was coined by Time magazine in 1964 after the Julian Stanzak show called Optical Paintings in Buffalo, New York. Op art became popular in 1965 after the Responsive Eye exhibition at the MoMA, New York. Op art derived its qualities of non representation and abstraction from Bauhaus, Constructivism, Cubism, New Impressionism, and Futurism. It followed the abstract expressionism movement and the kinetic art movement of the 1940s and 50s. Um, it was initially it shared the field with kinetic art as op artists were drawn to virtual movement and kinetic artists were attracted by the possibility of real motion. Um, to the public, op art seemed the perfect style for an age defined by advances in science, computing, aerospace, and television, but art critics were not impressed and they attacked its effects as gimmicks. Main proponents: Victor Vasarely is considered the father of op art. He was born in 1906 in Hungary, and he lived and worked in France and passed away in Paris in 1997. His painting method of painting borrowed from a range of influences, including Bauhaus, Kandinsky, and Constructivism. He studied at a private art school, widely recognized as the Budapest Center for Bauhaus Studies. He believed that visual kinetics rely on the perception of the viewer. His best work is expressed in geometric, even mechanistic terms. He created compelling illusions of spatial depth. His piece, The Zebras, painted in 1938, is considered to be the earliest example of op art. His art dazzles the eye, but it does not disturb the viewer's equilibrium. Another main proponent was Bridget Riley. She was born in London in 1931 and she studied art at the Royal College of Art. She experimented, or used she used to paint in the semi-impressionistic style and pointillism before moving to the style consisting of black and white geometric patterns that explore the dynamism of sight and produce a disorienting effect on the eye and produces movement and color. If you're painting Blaze, if you look at its concentric circles seem to be moving in different directions. If you have it in your peripheral vision, or if you keep looking at it, she uses simultaneously shifting patterns of forms and changing optical mixtures of colors. Later in life, she uh, started to paint large murals that shape and articulate the environments they occupy. The main proponent in the US was Richard Anaskovich. He was born in 1930 in Pennsylvania. He went to the Cleveland Institute of Art and studied at the Yale University, where he got his MFA. He His works formally explored the phenomenon of light, color, and line and their effects on human perception. His works are always saturated with vibrant color. He often employed the nested square forms, similar to the work of his mentor Joseph Albers. The main characteristic of op art is that it fools the eye. It tricks the eye into believing something that isn't there. It also does not represent reality. It does not look like anything we can find in nature. Op art embraces negative space. And typically, it gives the impression of movement, hidden images, flashing and vibrating patterns, or of swelling and warping. It uses perspective and juxtaposition of chromatic or achromatic lines and shapes. Most proponents used black and white, but some did use color. And when they used color, the colors did not blend into each other. They were complementary colors juxtaposed for effect. Op art is not created by chance. It is achieved through a thoughtful process using mathematics and precision. Op art exploits the functional relationship between the eye's retina that sees the patterns and the brain that interprets the pattern. This creates visual stimuli to cause confusion between the two organs. When presented with heavily patterned, high contrast images, the eye cannot focus its attention. And without a clear point to focus on, the eye involuntarily moves around an image, bringing elements of the picture in and out of focus. This causes a perception of irrational optical phenomenon. Um, the proponents of op art effectively used the figure ground relationship. They explored the figure ground relationship through use of parallel lines, checkerboard patterns, circles, and other geometric shapes, and through the and through the repetitive arrangements, they got the desired effects. The use of precision and mathematics and stark contrasts and the abstract shapes gives the artwork a three-dimensional quality. Its current relevance. Several artists continued to experiment and used op art in their works long after its decline. It was given a lifespan of only 3 years. Today, op art reflects the flickering, ever changing, semi virtual world we inhabit. The invasive effects are irresistible and intriguing. In a contemporary world dominated by excesses of visual information, op art mirrors the over complexities of information age. Op art, um, back in its heyday, informed the fashion industry, and it continues to do so today. Magazines and high fashion labels translate op art into graphic contents and fashion editorials, and also into affordable collections. Louis Vuitton and Marc Jacobs uh, also used op art in their recent collections, relatively recent collections in 2013. Op art is visually appealing and it is really well suited for popular social media platforms today that are always populated by photographs and pictures. Another area that op art is popular in is in album covers, especially in alternative and psychedelic genres. A current proponent, a contemporary proponent of op art is Malika Fav. She was born in 1982 in Paris, near Paris, in France. She went to a science prep school, but changed her mind and went to an art school in Paris. She pursued illustration when she moved to London. In 2006, she started work as an art director at Airside, and eventually she left Airside to set herself up as an independent illustrator. She has worked on a variety of projects spanning editorial, advertising, and publishing. She's a young graphic artist, and a proponent of pop art. Her style is bold and minimalistic, often called pop arts, or described as pop art meets op art. She uses positive and negative space very effectively, along with color, and a female form is frequently employed in her art. In conclusion, it is said that a gifted child with a computer and proper software could certainly create op art in the 21st century. But op art represents a great deal of math, planning, and technical skill, as none of it came with the help of digital tools back then. Original, hand created op art deserves high respect, and I think it is seeing a resurgence in current times. Thank you.